Everybody, good morning. So today our topic is women and neurological health, and we have amazing OT coming today, occupational therapist. So Shradha, and we will wait for her. And while we're waiting for her, I would like to introduce myself. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for being here. So I am Ange, or Anjali if you like to call me. I'm from Nepal originally. Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. And if you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up. Okay. Thank you. And yes, so I'm from Nepal and I have two beautiful children and I have an amazing Aussie husband, so who is very supportive of me. And yeah, my occupation is Shradha is here. Coach, okay, movement coach and nutrition counselor, certified nutrition counselor. All right, Shradha, I'll try to, oh, yes, she is. Yes, yes. You made it. Hey.
Hello.
So you, yeah, here we go. You're going to move. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Audio is super clear. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, everyone can hear us. Thank you for being here. So I just introduced myself. So I was going to read your bio. So let me introduce Shradha, and who is occupational therapist. And if you like to add in any time, jump in anytime, okay? So you are lifestyle medicine coach and a well-being promoter. You are on a mission to inspire others to create a meaningful and purpose-driven life for themselves by exploring lifestyle habits and connecting to their body's wisdom through mind-body attunement, belief system, exploration, and occupational engagement. So connecting internally allows to become aware of current habits and beliefs that may no longer serve, so that longer lasting changes can be made by rediscovering energy, alignment, and freedom. Working with laws of nature enables a state of flow where actions feel sustainable and aligned with our true selves. Therefore, fostering a mind-body-spirit connection is vital in creating a fulfilling life. So maybe you could have said that, when I'm reading it. All right, it's okay. So, and you are the founder of Lifablity, and your goals have always been simple. Okay, I'm just waving, and to help others achieve more fulfillment in their life, to feel more satisfaction, and to help them improve their quality of life. I want you would like your clients to break free from the problems chaining them down, problems often caused by modern lifestyles, to live a life feeling fulfilled, joyful, and alignment. I think we all need that at the moment. Well, some days, like we all trying to work on ourselves, but at the same time, if you have guidance, that struggle might be a little bit easier, right? So, yeah, welcome and thank you for being here again. And before we start asking questions, I just wanted to let everybody know that this live is all about to bring awareness and support around neurological health, not a specific diagnosis for anybody. So am I saying it right?
Diagnosis, correct, yeah.
But if anyone needs guidance or support, please directly connect with Shradha or your health practitioner. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And so, Shradha, would you like to say anything before we start?
Well, thank you so much, Ange, for encouraging what you always do and creating more awareness around the world. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So okay, so let's start with the first question, because OT seems to do so much. So I'm like, how many things do they do? So in this perspective of talking about the women and neurological health, so how do you help? as OT, how do you help people?
Mm-hmm. So occupational therapy has always been about understanding, what the problem is for that individual,
Yes.
what their goals are, and where are the barriers. And so if we're looking at neurological health, especially in women, there's probably three areas that I'd like to talk about today, because if we talk about neurological health, like we can keep going on and on.
Yes.
But I want to talk about multiple sclerosis, strokes, and migraines, because they are so much more prevalent in women, or especially in Australia.
Okay.
So multiple sclerosis, there's actually evidence and statistics that it's 3 times more prevalent in women than in men. And also the diagnoses generally start from between about 20 and 40 years old. So a lot of, I guess, people going through transitions, just general life transitions, can experience that. So you can imagine if they're trying to handle just life transitions and then they get thrown off with something like multiple sclerosis, it can really throw them off, and find it really challenging just to navigate.
Are you still there? You're frozen. Yeah, I think your internet might be you back?
Oh, I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yes.
I wasn't sure what was happening because it was frozen from your end, so I wasn't sure whether you were actually receiving the information that I was providing. So multiple sclerosis is both, it's considered both a neurological condition and an autoimmune condition. And then we've got stroke. Again, stroke is the second biggest killer for Australian women, more than breast cancer, which I was very surprised to know, because I've always assumed that men are more likely to be, to be having stroke-like symptoms and actually experiencing that. And then, migraines is another big thing, which comes together with things like, endometriosis or PCOS or fibromyalgia. Oftentimes it's a comorbidity. It's very rare that it exists by itself. So again, looking at how the symptoms are actually impacting that specific individual,
Yes.
and where they want to go. So giving you an example, for example, someone with MS might experience chronic fatigue, and doing something like dropping off their kids to school is more of a priority for them compared to doing some household tasks.
Yes.
So it's identifying, where are we consuming our energy? How much is that in alignment? And as you know, but people might not know, but Lifablity is always about mind, body, spirit connection.
Yes.
And so it's understanding, where are we in terms of how are we feeling physically, how are we feeling emotionally, what stories are we bringing into our, I guess, environment, and what purpose is that story serving, or what purpose is that role of a mother serving. And sometimes it also includes things like identity change and rewiring our brains to really understand what is actually really important for me versus something that either society, culture has put on us. So I've thrown in a lot of things there. I don't know if you want to...
I know. My brain is, you can see me, my brain going tick, tick, tick. And so I was thinking that, so as OT, so you guide people to prioritize their task. Is that correct? Or what aligns to them, or what is important, what are their values, and according to that, with the person with MS, how they can, change their identity or their task according to that. Is that correct?
Yeah, so helping them prioritize what's important to them, helping them understand what their value system is.
Yes.
Is that in alignment with what they're actually doing?
Yes.
And then also looking at the environment that they're in. And the environment's not just a physical environment. Environment is things around them, like what are they consuming in terms of
Yes.
Their social field, or even just the TV, for example, or when they're meeting up with people that they have been connected with for such a long time, and those people might not necessarily understand where they're at, which can put additional pressure. And so it's navigating some of that, and then it's always about adapting either the task that they're wanting to do, adapting that environment that they need to do it in, or adapting themselves. So, do they need to do that later in the day? Do they need to think slightly differently and have a different mindset to be able to navigate that?
So helping people to navigate the completely different new lifestyle, especially with people with MS. It can be, I'm not that aware of how much, I think it progresses through in time, isn't it, with MS? Or I don't know.
Yeah, so
that well, yes.
Yeah, so you have different types of MS. You can have a condition where you're diagnosed and you continuously worsen, or the symptoms worsen, I should say. Sometimes you have a period where you're in remission, and so everything is going really smoothly, and you don't have any symptoms, and then suddenly something happens, and you've got to deal with everything again. And sometimes, some people might just get initial symptoms, which they might have encountered for a little while, but they don't get worse, and they're stable for the rest of their life. So it really just depends where the person is. But I always come back to, MS is really like a lot of our chronic health conditions. It's caused by inflammation, it's caused by low immunity, and so I'm always about the root cause. And so unpacking, where is that inflammation being triggered? And I'm a big believer in a mind-body connection and the gut-brain axis, right? And so it's unpacking how our emotions connected to what's happening in our physical body, because a lot of the times the physical symptoms start manifesting when we're not addressing a lot of our emotional concerns.
So there is more and more study now that how the stress accumulates in our body, and how that is coming out, showing up in our daily life as a different type of diseases, isn't it?
Yeah, and similar thing with migraines, depending on where exactly the migraine is, whether it's at the front of your head or whether it's like the back of your head, it has different connections to different meridian systems again, and which then has, a different emotional languages attached to that. And so understanding that can help you unpack, where are you in misalignment, and how you're leading your life, and where can you make some changes.
So as an OT, you would know wherever the person has the pain during migraine, so you could guide them through that. Okay, you are out of alignment in here, so you would guide them through that. Is that correct?
Yes, I guess for me, it's more, it's not just an occupational therapy principle. It's to do with traditional Chinese medicine and some other modalities that I've, added to
along
my
with
cart.
OT. Yes, you have all the different types of feathers going on in your head, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. exactly, because I'm always about, you know, the body is a multifactorial system. Like we can't just treat one thing without understanding what's happening in other parts of the body. And so that led me into, you know, doing some additional study in various modalities, integrative and functional medicine, understanding what exactly is going on and how can we treat the body as a whole, without necessarily using pills or
So yesterday I went to Gold Coast Uni Hospital, and you know how they are embracing now music and art instead of just providing the patient with the pills. And that is such an beautiful approach now, initiative that, you know, now everyone, the modern medicine is applying. And there's a question here. What are the different types of modalities that you use?
Wow, it's a broad question, but I will try and unpack that. So, occupational therapy is broad itself, you know. Traditional Chinese medicine, kinesiology is something else that I've engaged in. Integrative and functional medicine is something that I'm really passionate about. And also quantum biology, which is looking at, you know, things like the circadian rhythms. And we talk a lot about food and how food impacts our physical body, but also the environment. You know, what sort of you know, are we constantly in blue lights? Are we constantly indoors? Are we grounding ourselves? You know, are we getting into the salty waters and getting some electrons and electrolytes through that? Because our skin and our eyes absorb as much as our gut does. So it's a lot. It really just depends. I really go with where the person's at. And
what they need.
Yeah, and then also adding a layer of spirituality into it, because we are, you know, we are spiritual beings living in a physical body, having a human interaction. So, it's always the bigger picture for me.
So I just remember the post that I shared with Dr. Jen, you know, how it had all the spiritual health, you know, and among everything else that you need, that if you are balanced all of that, then you are, you know, living a whole life. Can I say that?
And I think it's also important to realize that you can't be balanced in each and every single area of your life at the same time. That's just not possible.
Not to stress about trying to balance it. Right?
It's more about understanding, you know, what is important for you right now, and are you getting those needs met with various engagements in various things. And, you know, part of occupational therapy also, we go through processes like sensory modulation and energy conservation and cognitive rehabilitation to try and navigate some of the symptoms that we might be experiencing as part of these neurological conditions.
All right. So as I wanted to go towards now, how do we help women? How do you help women to maintain independence if they are experiencing some neurological symptoms related to aging?
I love collaborating because especially for women, or basically both men and women, but more so for women, you know, maintaining our strength is really important, because it can then potentially lead to things like, you know, osteoporosis, which then leads to falls and all these other conditions that we can have. So what I always say when I am, you know, engaging with someone who's either an older adult or they've got an aging parent is what sort of movement are they incorporating on a daily basis? You know, it
Yes.
doesn't have to be strenuous.
No.
It's good to do some resistance training, but always, you know, looking at what are they doing? Firstly, what are some of the basic things that I can recommend?
Mm.
And then collaborating with someone like yourself as an exercise physiologist.
Yes,
Or
I am,
personal
yeah,
trainer.
I'm a movement coach. I'm
Yeah.
not physiologist
Okay.
just yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yes, and I support women because I have done the different courses to support women's health, like for example, the menopause course and then pelvic health around that. And so when we are doing the movement, you know, classes, I always make sure that we are breathing correctly, so we are engaging our pelvic floor and the core properly, and as well as the movement shouldn't be as painful as people makes it sound, or you know, difficult, you know. And I think that's why most of the time people are pushing it away, because they think they have to go to the gym or they have to spend 2 hours, or you know, it doesn't have to be. And so that is what I'm trying to promote, is in my the movement, the area, that it is so easy to do 5 minutes to 15 minutes, and you're sweating it out if you put the 100%, and if you trust the process. It is possible to build that strength that you need when you are getting a little bit older, especially going towards menopause, as we start, you know, degenerating our muscle and the bone health. So, you know, how can we maintain that and not, you know, slide down as fast?
And
So,
yeah, and listening to our body, you know, like if you're
yes,
feeling pain, if you're feeling fatigued, there's a reason for that. You know, your body's got amazing wisdom.
yes,
Let's try and figure out what's actually going on. And I also love, you know, how you mentioned breathing, because breathing and correct breathing
yes,
and deep breathing is so important, because you know, that's where, if we're not breathing right, we're
yes,
not, you know, our emotions are going to get
yes,
fumbled, but also just it affects our brain health, it affects, you know, our physical health. So yeah, breathing is so
yes.
important.
So I was teaching my clients to breathe properly, and they are like, "And we've been breathing all our life." And I said, "Yes, breathing is different, but then, you know, breathing like that, you just, you know, you look like you're anxious all the time, you know, because obviously you're not taking the breathe in and out properly, and inhale and exhaling, and especially when you're doing the movement." And it was, they were blown away that how the breathing was so complicated to breathe properly. And yeah, it's mind-blowing how our body is amazing, and at the same time how we are not forgetting. It's, yeah, it's not as we are not utilizing to up to the optimal level, you know. So that's why we have the, you know, specialists like yourself, and we come to play together, right?
Yeah, and also understanding that different breathing patterns
Yes.
have different means. So, you know, for example, you were going like, that could be useful for
Mm,
someone who needs to get out of a low state,
mm,
and create some of that stress. But it's not good for someone who's already stressed, who's already anxious. We need more oxygen, right?
yes.
And so that's where we've got to deepen that breath and lengthen that exhale.
Mm. Oh, there's Far Fortune says, I have met women who are afraid to breathe deeply. It's very interesting. I can sort of understand when I start doing the breathing practices, sometimes it would make me dizzy. So I don't know if that would be any, but the breathing practitioners, they always mention that, you know, like if you are pregnant or like this might not be as useful for you, or not useful. You might have to be a bit mindful of that. And so, yeah, so I can relate to that.
Yeah, and
how about you?
also for someone who might have experienced some traumatic incidents in the past, you know, that deep breathing or potentially holding the breath, you know, can be quite similar to when they were in that freeze mode during a certain incident that they might have been experiencing. So
The trauma.
it's always trying to gauge where the person's at and helping them build things up. You're never ever I'm never ever trying to push someone to a point where it's so uncomfortable just to get to a means, because that's not how we work with the body.
Yes. Yeah. So just hang on. I have the limit on my phone. They are like, it's, you are out of limit, the internet time.
Ah, okay.
Social time. So
Yeah.
it's like giving me a limit time. So what are the, so let's move on to another one. What are the mindfulness and relaxation techniques that you would recommend for women with neurological disorders?
Sensory modulation is an amazing thing that I think everybody should be using in their day-to-day life. And
that would be sensory modulation. What is
yeah,
that?
sensory modulation, and that's basically using our senses and adjusting and I guess incorporating various activities that are going to activate various senses that are going to help us regulate our nervous system. And that's something that you would like to start off with an occupational therapist, because they can help you guide as to, you know, how to do that. But even if you're someone who just wants to tap into that, like everybody knows of the five senses, you know, hearing, sight, touch, feel, smell, and if we can just pick a couple of things from each sense that is in our present moment, and I guess just verbalize that, it actually makes such a big difference, you know. Another one would be, we've talked about breathing techniques already, and progressive muscle relaxation is another one, which is really useful for people with neurological conditions, because it helps them become aware of various parts of their body and where they might be holding a lot of tension. And so helping them do like a body scan is quite useful. And then, you know, some acupressure points are really useful also. Again, working with the body and releasing some of the stress that they might be holding. You know, a good one is just over there and just tapping it over there. And you know, sort of closing their eyes and trying to breathe through that. But there are quite a few different ones, and I always go with, you know, what the problem is that they're facing, and seeing where that might relate to the meridian in terms of the emotional language in the body.
So there are so many things that even for the people who doesn't have disorders can apply that, right? Just to be mindful. And so I have started putting every 15 minutes timer. So I stop, and then, because I wanted to practice becoming mindful, so I close my eyes or stand up, or so I scan from top to toe, and then feel the floor. How am I feeling? Instead of just sitting on the computer all the time. So every 15 minutes I start doing that. So yeah, but even a person who doesn't have that disorders can apply that, right?
Oh, 100%. And the biggest favorite of mine is nature. Get out there, you know, like nature's the cure for everything, you know. Ground yourself, feel the air, smell the air. I would 100% recommend, even if it's just 10 minutes in a day, that you just go outside, you know, go find some grass, go find some sand, get away from the concrete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you feel that you know, ground yourself, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but actually using a natural environment to actually do that.
Yes. Okay, so nature is the best. Free, it's free, and it's, you know, available everywhere. And we're in Australia, in the Gold Coast, right? Beautiful Gold Coast.
Yeah, free medicine.
Yes,
It's
free
right there.
medicine. That's right. So, okay, I think we can keep going on and on. And if anyone has a question, please shoot through in our comment section around the neurological health to Shradha. And while we're waiting, Shradha, please let us know where we can find you.
So I'm on Instagram, Shradha_Haria, or Lifablity is the other way to find me. So Lifablity. I'm on LinkedIn. I also have a podcast where I get guest speakers to talk about various health awareness topics, which is called Lifablity. That's on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and other podcast mediums. Or you could just go into my website, which is www.lifeability.com. So lifability.com.
Yes. So awesome. So I think we are we're more than time. But thank you so much, Shradha, for being here today again, and for your amazing knowledge, and, you know, to our community, and we truly appreciate.
Well, thank you so much for having
Yes,
me. I really
thank you everyone for being here. And if you have any questions, please and send a direct message to you, right, in Lifablity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I'll put all the all your information in the content so people can connect with you as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Anj.
All right. Thank you so much, Shradha, for being here. You have a great day. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.